Hi, this is Samantha Denefe with Arkansas Catholic and Your ID, and I believe that everyone should be a priest, but it's not a heresy. So let's talk about this. In your baptism, you are baptized into the ministry of Jesus, the trifold ministry of Jesus, which means that you are a priest, a prophet, and a king by your baptismal calling, which is amazing. So man, woman, married couple, single person, kiddo. If you're baptized, you have a calling to the common priesthood. So to understand that, we have to understand what priesthood means. So traditionally, as in like a long time ago, if you were a priest, it meant you offered sacrifices. And that's what worship means. And that's why in the Catholic faith, when we talk about worship, we talk about biblical worship, which always includes sacrifice. And that's also why we say things like the sacrifice of the Mass, because we are at the sacrifice of Jesus being crucified on the cross at Mass. We're not re-crucifying him, by the way. He died once, that's all he had to die. But we are kind of like mystically transferred back to the crucifixion within the Mass. So when we offer the Mass, we sacrifice the Mass. That's what's going on. So as a priest, you are called to sacrifice. And what that looks like for the lay person is offering up little things throughout your day for people. So it could be you've got a friend who's really hurting and you're going out late to get a beer with them, to talk to them about what's going on. That's a sacrifice. And all you do is unite that to the cross, and that's a priesthood. It's also going to Mass on Sunday and maybe carrying that person in your heart and offering them up. That's part of your common priesthood, which is amazing. Another thing that priests do is they act as a bridge. So the Catholic priest kind of acts as a bridge between us and God, but Jesus is the high priest there, so just know that like we can always go to Jesus. So it's us, Jesus, God, right? God the Father. We, as the lay people in the world, can act as a bridge between someone who's far away from the church or fallen away from the church. We can act as a bridge between them and the church, them and God. We can introduce them to the love of God just by smiling, by being happy, by inviting them to come to church. We become a bridge, which is so amazing. And then I want to end with one thing. What is the laity? Like if you had to define it, how would you define the laity or a lay person? The majority of you probably just said, oh, it's someone who's not a priest or a nun or a monk. And that's good. That's one way to define it. But let's not define something by what it's not. Let's define the lay person. Let's define ourselves by what we are, what our purpose is. So a better definition for the lay people is the faithful people of God who live in the world in order to sanctify secular society. See, we have a mission, we have a purpose. We have a universal call to holiness. We're called to holiness too. And just like if somebody is called to be a priest and they reject that calling, shame on them. And just like if someone is called to a family man and they reject that calling to be a priest, shame on them. Your call to holiness is so important, especially today with the way the world is, that you need to go out and act as that priest, to be that bridge between between God the Father and the people who are in the world hurting that you know, to offer up sacrifices. So I encourage you this week to think of the people in your life who need your prayers, need your little sacrifices, and bring that to Mass and operate in your common priesthood. This is Samantha Denefe, and I look forward to speaking with you next month.